All right. Shut. This is a professional production. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Old Mood Podcast, episode 24, right?
24, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, nailed it. All right. I was like, I could have sworn I made the thumbnail for 23 last week. It's 24 this week. Yeah. No, 24 straight weeks in a row. Like, Jay, you've been here for everyone. Tiltus and I have both missed one apiece, I think.
One apiece, yeah.
Yeah. And Jay is like the most, yeah, exactly. Like,
Bro,
the most consistent.
I was trying to go for the streak, man. I just keep
Jay
work.
never misses church. Ever. He's there every Sunday. Jesus is a priority. Yeah, I'm forced. Very similar to the podcast.
It's an obligation.
That's right.
Colt, we just, every Tuesday night.
It's the Old Moon obligation cast.
That's right. So true. All right, I am Blue Squadron, your host. I'm joined, as always, with my co-host Tiltus. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tiltus TV. I had to take last week off because I was dying of a heat stroke. You know, the normal things that happen when you work outside in 100-degree weather. But I'm back this week, and I'm excited to talk some more about our lovely game, Black Desert Online.
Right on, and my boy Jay.
Hi, I'm Jake in VT, V before the T, and I wasn't working outside because I don't know what outside is, and I'm an Awakening Wusa main with 760 gear score. I do a lot of endgame PvE content such as Olin's, the dungeons, and now Ulukita. And welcome to the Old Moon funny cast episode 24.
Went with Tankcast.
Jay, I think that was your
about this beforehand.
Jay, I think that was the cast. That was the best intro you've ever done, Jay.
That was really Paul.
Yeah, there was no like startle or any of that stuff. I think it's the tank top.
I went first. I went first this time. So
I was ready this time.
Did you tell me you had like post nut clarity? And he was able to just get it all out at once. All right. Well, first thing that I want to talk about this week is Ulukita first impressions. All right. I don't want to spend too long on it, but I do want to know what our initial thoughts are. Tiltus, I know you haven't actually played in the new region because you're 589 gear score. That's okay.
Correct.
So we're going to just straight
the way you are. Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
Well,
that exact number, as a matter of fact.
So we're going to throw it straight over to Jay. Jay is a massive 760 gear score EP player. How is the new region?
I was actually really surprised about how much I liked it. I remember seeing in previous episodes that I was not like the biggest fan of these sort of sandy, canyony type zones, but after exploring the region and just, taking it in and spending time, it had more so of a, kind of like savanna-ish, safari-esque mesa biome from Minecraft aesthetic, and it kind of grew on me as I grinded,
I like that you said it like a 10-year-old.
Oh my god,
I appreciate that.
It's Minecraft,
Yeah,
Christian Minecraft server.
Yeah,
anyways, I actually, this is kind of like the first grind spot that I want to say I like as much as Olin's Valley. That's how big of a surprise this was for me. Like the simple mechanic of needing to crowd control the mage type mom to knock the rest of the pack down and then finish things off was actually really super satisfying. I was worried about dying a lot because it's advertised as a 310 AP zone, right? And so when you think of 310 AP, the only other two spots that is 310 AP before this was Trolls, right? Calphion Trolls, and also Crypt Resting Thoughts. And those places are definitely way harder than Ulukita. Ulukita was kind of easy. I want to say it's less than a 310 AP spot. Maybe like 290 is what I would personally advertise it as and suggest as. Go ahead.
Is Trolls really that hard?
I don't think it was that hard.
Is it just because I play Witch and I'm handed everything for free? Like I'm like, oh, this is a joke. Like I don't even understand why people struggle with this spot.
I mean, at Trolls you still gotta watch out for like the damage and the hits, and at Ulukita there was actually not really anything dangerous, at least at City of the Dead, which was the 310 AP zone. I had no issues like surviving there. Tangrad Ruins, there was a little bit more damage, but for the most part, as long as you are ensuring the mechanic of crowd controlling the mage mob, the rest of the mobs are CC'd for maybe like 10 seconds, and that's so much time to kill them because they actually don't die at 0% HP. They die at a partial percentage HP. At City that it's 50%, they just explode at 50%, and at Time Grab Ruins they explode around 25 to 30%. One thing I have heard in concerns about these spots is how it's like a very RNG heavy spot, right? Like Star's End, if you get a disto, you make money, but if you don't, you don't, right? And it's the same thing here. It's if you get a rare drop, you make 2 bill. If you don't, you make 200 mil. And for me and many others, I do prefer consistent money spots, but at the same time, I don't think it's a bad thing to have both of these kinds of spots exist in the game. I mean, we literally just got a bunch of Dekia spots and buffs to trash to pre-existing zones like Rudums and Gyfins and Giants, which I've heard a lot of positive reception about. So I don't think it's a bad thing to just have another RNG money heavy spot every now and then, considering everything else, And for the most part, I do think most people's goals for this grind spot in particular is the telescope. So if you can occasionally turn a 200 mil hour into a 2 bill hour occasionally while grinding for this really rare item, that's really cool. I think that's a good deal. So yeah, those are my first impressions of the grind spot.
It's funny that you said like, oh, I don't know, I don't really like grinding at places where you just don't make any money if you don't get a drop. Because for like the first, I don't know, 6.5 years of my BDO career, I was like the exact opposite. I was like, if there's not a rare drop, I could be making no money. I don't care. I need like the rarest drop. That's what gets my jollies on. And then for the very first time, I wouldn't even try the other way. For the very first time, I tried trolls about a month ago. And I was like, oh, this is why everyone likes this way more. Because you make way more money all the time instead of just some of the time. Yeah, no, I've actually quite enjoyed watching all of the streamers like Block Jump run in, accidentally autopath on his horse, get stuck in a pack of mobs and get turboed. Like I watched Zayn get fed to mobs more times than I think he actually killed mobs. So like I think it's a little bit more unsafe than Jay lets on because he's 760 years old.
I emphasize like ensuring the mechanic of the crowd controlling the mage mob, and if you're not doing that, then you're doing it wrong. But if you do that, it's a very chill grind. I promise.
That's fair. Just
do the mechanic.
Very chill. Just do the mechanic and just don't get hit. Yeah, it's very simple. Just don't get hit, and it's super chill. Yeah. Tiltus, do you have any thoughts on it?
Honestly, the only thought I have on it was the clip Jay sent where he was like, wait, that's it? This is easy. And I was just like, oh, okay, it's one of those spots. All right, got it. It was one of those like, man, this guy's got 120 years score on me.
I'm way more scared of Crips. Crips scares the heck out of me. So.
Crips, yeah, Crip mobs are kind of spook.
Yeah. I think I totally agree with the sentiment of releasing one spot that is an RNG spot to grind at from time to time is probably a good change of pace than always just grinding for trash loot. Because there are players, like I know players that prefer going to places like, Stars Inn and grinding for the loot.
They want the dopamine hit.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. There's a different. It's like the Kafra enhancing. I hate the Kafra enhancing system because there is no dopamine hit when I hit the next Kafra level.
It makes the ting sound.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's something satisfying about the small percent chance going and then the rush of dopamine that hits.
I
like those kind of spots.
I also loved putting my Manos chess piece in the enhancement slot last night. And hitting it 45 times in a row and watching it never hit duo. That was super fun.
There is a clip in Epidemic Discord of it, and I was really excited when I watched it.
Unbelievable. I unironically hit a pen dead god. Like it was unreal.
Percentage.
Yeah. Like it was actually a lower percent chance than that. I don't know. I hit it 45 times on a 25% chance, and it failed every single time, all right in a row. On stream, no edit, nothing. It was crazy. But yeah, I also love the dopamine. We hit it again today. It was super fun. It failed again.
I love that after you succeeded, you immediately tapped it and it went back to pry. That was
the worst part of the whole clip for me.
It wasn't even like he was like raging super hard, and then it kind of got silent for a second, and he was just like, click, and it failed, and he was like, okay.
Yeah. All right, so we have a listener that asked, so what do you think about the idea of spots that are open only for a limited time? And I'm curious what your thoughts on Tiltus.
I think the general rule of thumb is that players across the board don't really like that because we have one of those already in the game. It is Sherikon Necropolis.
I was about to say,
Oh, yeah.
I don't think people really enjoy like time slotting out when they want to go grind.
I did forget about that.
Necropolis.
Yeah. I mean, okay, yeah. I was like, that sounds kind of cool. And then he said Shiricon, and I was like, that sounds like garbage. Oh yeah. I remember grinding Shiricon and then not grinding Shiricon. That was super frustrating.
I think it's really like it's an interesting idea. If they were gonna do a time slotted area, they should do like a couple that kind of rotate around so that there's always one up somewhere. But with just Necropolis, it's like, all right, let me go log my 40 minutes in to grind for my potion P spot and then never come here again for, whatever the day cycle is, 3 hours or something, and go back and do it again. So I don't know. I think if they were going to do it, they would need to put a lot of work into making the limited time spot really worth it to do. And I don't see them doing that, to be completely honest.
Jay, what do you think about it? You're the PvE Lord. Would you like spots like that? Rotating spots?
I don't like being limited because actually when Olin's first came out, that was kind of the case back in 2020, 2021. If nighttime was approaching, we would need to schedule around nighttime. And that was annoying, having to force players to wait because they didn't want to risk losing their crystals to take more damage from nighttime. And that was kind of the case that was happening at Dekia for a little bit at the very beginning when people were scared. But I think it's not that big of an issue anymore as long as you were doing the mechanics properly. I mean, that's what you get. That's the reward for doing the mechanics properly, is that you don't die. And I really like that about Olin's Valley. But yeah, I would not like windows of time because not everybody can like a good example was Garmoth, right? The reason why Garmoth's mechanic was changed to be every day essentially now is so that more people can attend it, right? Not all people could have attended the Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday schedule for a while, and so now they're trying this new thing. I don't know if it's going to be permanent. It's been around for a while now, right? It's been like a month since this change has happened, and I think it's a better way to do Garmoth. Personally, is that there's more opportunities to do Garmoth, but yeah, having this more flexible schedule, I do prefer flexible schedules over limited schedules.
Yeah, I just don't think that they can design the game. Like, the more I think about it, the more I think that they just can't design the game around that. Okay, so real quickly though, it does prompt a question with all these like crazy end game grind spots that like are already sweaty for everyone in the game but J-Kun VT, V before the T. Like, I'm wondering, do they need to just remove this nighttime mechanic? Because I hate it when I'm just grinding at a super high end spot and I'm on autopilot, man. I don't see this little notification above my screen. There's crazy stuff going on. I don't see it, and then suddenly I'm the white woman on the couch. I don't understand. So, like, would you guys prefer to see it just removed altogether? Or? Sorry, Jay first.
You go.
Yeah.
Jay, go ahead, go first.
I do think for the amount of more risk that you get, that the reward for it, which is 10% more drop rate, is not reflective of the extra difficulty of it. Maybe for like other safer spots, like that's fine, right? Because you don't really take too much damage anyways, and so 30% more of that is not that big of a deal. But when you add in those higher end spots like Olin's Valley, etc., like the Dekia spots, Crypt, right, it just makes you feel like you don't want to go there, right? You don't want to play the game, right? And we don't want that. We want players to play the game, right? And so I do feel like it's either they remove the mechanic or make it worth it to do the mechanic. And so
okay, all right, yeah.
I don't know how they would do it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I have a very similar opinion on it. Right now, it doesn't feel worth it to do the high. Here's the thing about nighttime. It doesn't feel worth it to do the high-end spots, especially if you're like borderline being able to do the spot, because you might die at any given time and lose, 2, 4, 5 bill crystal. And then it also you don't notice it at the low end spots. It's just pointless. The only time I think anybody ever notices it is like when they're grinding XP and they're like, oh boy, nighttime, I get my bonus XP, you know, like, but outside of that, it's like,
or this cave is suddenly darker, you know?
Yeah. It's like when I do when I do Gyphins and it turns nighttime, there is no change to anything that I do while I'm there. It is just Gyphins and it's a little bit darker now. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't feel like there's any point to it. If you're, you know, off seasonal and you're grinding centaurs, you don't notice nighttime. If you're grinding Star's End off seasonal, you don't notice nighttime. If you are grinding Olin's Valley at nighttime, you're not there unless you're Jakun because you don't want to die. You know what I mean? So it's just, it feels almost outdated at this point. Like, it's not really worth it to even focus around doing the nighttime unless you're, you know, doing like Olin's or something like that and you're scared you're going to die.
I mean, you bring up a good point. I actually wish when I started playing BDO, I thought that like nighttime, like I went down thinking Kama Sylvia nighttime was going to be like Avatar in the dark. You know what I mean? Like, I really wanted to feel like this serene peace and then maybe a little bit scared because the mobs were going to turbo me. And instead we got nothing.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been updated in a long time.
Now, I can say if they wanted to add like unique mechanics, like I think Ash Forest would be like the perfect place to add a unique mechanic for nighttime.
That would be
like
cool.
Suddenly it gets really creepy and like you're either running from something or watching out for something, and you know, like there's a mechanic that goes around that. That would be neat to do while you're already there, you know. But I think planning your grind out around a focused time slot of like, oh, it's 6 p.m. It's nighttime. Time to go do my nighttime grind for 40 minutes. Yeah, I don't think anybody likes doing that.
Yeah. Okay, all right, right on. I want to move. Okay, I'm very excited about this particular topic because like the implications of them doing this are actually kind of profound. They have reworked Heidel Castle. And I feel like there's only really one reason in my head that they would actually look at reworking Heidel Castle. But I'm actually curious, have you guys looked at it? Because I did it in my patch notes rundown. This past week.
I did not.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's definitely RP super heavy. However, it's still super buggy. They didn't actually code it any better, so like you can just fall through walls and stuff. So just heads up.
Did they get rid of the guards?
Yeah, all the guards are gone. You can now fully explore the castle. Dude. Yeah, no, you can now fully explore it.
We were trying to take guild pictures in the castle, and we have one person on like sentry duty, like, oh, the guard's here.
Yeah, now you can definitely RP in the castle. You can take a really good guild photo in the throne room. It's really cool. However, the implications of redoing Heidel Castle, before I say what I think is going to happen, Tiltus, what do you think they're redoing? Because they said it's being reworked for some sort of it's being reworked for some sort of content. Okay, all right. So Jay, what do you feel like it's being reworked for?
I actually think that could be a really cool setup for certain events or scenarios in the story of BDO. Like, for example, we know that there's this malevolent god spreading their influence. You might know this more commonly as Elven Realm.
I thought you were going to say Elezra. Oh my gosh, dude. I swear to God, if this is another shrine for Elezra, I'm done. That's it. I'm out. I don't care.
Yeah. And we know that Hadum's, he or she is spreading their influence across Serendia, and now it's spreading to Calpheon. And so who knows, it might spread over to another region. And so I was thinking maybe this could be a good setup for maybe a PvE siege scenario against Hadum's forces or something like that. And Serendia Castle could be a key component in order to defend.
He curved the bullet there, Tiltus, at the last second. I'll be honest.
I didn't think that was going anywhere where we thought.
At the start, well, I'll be honest with you, Jay. When you started speaking, I couldn't have been more flaccid. When you said that they're reworking it for quest purposes, I got so bummed out.
No.
Because of how probably right you are and how brutal that implication actually was. But if it's actually used for some sort of PvE siege, that would be pretty badass. Sadly, I think it was your first implication. Tiltus, what do you think it might be for?
It's Perlibus. It could be for anything. It could literally only be for events. You know, they had their
Don't do me
they
like
had
this.
the Heidel event, and they put it in the Heidel battle arena, which nobody really thought twice about until it was before war, and you were like, hey, I can't fight my guildies inside the battle arena. But it's definitely possible that it's just, you know, event center, which BDO honestly probably needs something like that, where like the players gather to do their events, kind of like what like Final Fantasy or, you know, games like that do, where, you know, you go to a specific area like Termia Beach, you know, but for not fishing events. But what I hope it's for is Baby Siege.
There
Baby
it
Castle
is.
Siege.
Yes. Okay.
Baby
Alpha
Siege,
Chad.
yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be the best update to PvP I think that you could do on a large scale, besides rotating the nodes out and giving us more diversity of, you know, where we can fight and stuff like that, is give a training ground for castle sieges that is a castle but is not a pain in the ass to learn how to do if you are not a, you know, a very established guild. So
Yeah, I think that, like, okay, so in my mind, the castle can't actually be used for siege, period, dot, in its current state. They said it's due for a big, like, makeover, right, and, like, rework. The only way that castle gets used for siege is they have to pick it up and move it, because it cannot be attached to Heidel. You cannot have it in a castle. Are you kidding me? I would just fly the Peggies in.
so.
I would
Yeah,
literally
I
sit
totally
in
forgot
Heidel
about
with my
that.
guild and then just fly into the throne room with like 90 Peggies and just win. So like it can't be used for siege in its current state. I am on the copium that it could still definitely be siege because they could just pick it up and casually move it across the map. I don't know, retcon it. I don't know, figure it out. But like, you could put it up against the mountain, whatever. I would love to see Serendia Siege come back because I feel like Balanos Siege, as nice as it is, they really kind of botched its implementation because they didn't remove all the safe zones. They made the entire siege zone smaller so that only like 6 forts can fit on the a 7 at maximum basically can actually fit every week, and then you have all these dead drops, so really you can only fit like 5 realistically speaking on Balanos every week, and it kind of just kills and because the safe zones are everywhere, it kind of just kills the entire fight before it gets started. You have to have all these obnoxious rules to even set it up, whereas Serendia, if they could just remove Balanos Siege and just give us Serendia, and we would be like way happier. They don't even have to move the castle. And I think the whole scene would agree with that. Serenity would just be way better. The terrain is stronger. It's a bigger zone. And it's, I don't know, it's just more fun. I don't know. Tiltus, do you remember Serenity Siege from back in the day, or were you not around for that?
Oh, no. The first siege I ever did was, well, not the first. No, not the first siege I ever did, but back in the old Merc system, I did host the T1 Merc guild where we put everybody in our guild on vacation and all the T1 guilds merced into our guild, and we went to Serendia Siege. So that was fun.
Yeah.
But,
honestly, that would be juiced.
Blue, I'm gonna throw out an idea, and there's no way this happens, but it would be so sick. So you know how all the other castles are open?
Yeah.
Right, you can fly to them in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
What if they made Serendia? They took it, they moved it northeast, kind of east of
into the mountain.
Yeah, into the mountain, and Helm's Deeped it, where the actual spawn area is inside the mountain, and you have to actually fight into the mountain.
Okay.
Instead of being able to fly into the castle.
Yeah, that would be super sick. Only if they added an ability to like knock down walls with catapults. Okay, we want to do the fun shit. Okay, like
yeah, we do.
If you're gonna call it siege, particularly castle siege, in my mind, castle siege has always been like seriously lacking in BDO, just because like I don't really feel like I'm sieging. I feel like I have my helmet on and it hurts. Like I feel like there should be some aspect of it where you're just trying to knock down the walls and like run through. This whole aspect where like you have a gate, it's like counterintuitive, right? Like there's like this gate, but you don't start with the castle gate down, you have to leave the gate up. And the entire idea for the defensive guild is to keep the gate up, not down. That's weird to me. Right? I would love to be able to just like siege it and like knock the gates down and stuff. But like I don't know how they'd make that work. But like for a Helm's Deep situation it might work. Then again, it might be a little difficult considering that's supposed to be the new player region, but screw it, just said it anyway.
Yeah, make it sick. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Now, I will say, Broku in your chat brings up a good point, and this was also what I was going to allude to, is that if we ever get a Siege rework, they should 110% look at ESO's Cyrodiil, because all the castles and keeps that you siege in that game have destructible terrain and rebuildable terrain. And so, like, when you roll up to a keep that's being, sieged, and there's a line of trebuchets 20 deep, and then there's catapults, and they're all hitting one particular wall to knock it down. It's the coolest thing ever, because then if you're defending it, your whole purpose is, well, I'm going to dive bomb the trebuchets and try to knock them down.
Right.
So there's a lot that they could do. I think the word siege in BDO is not really a good term for it, because it's not really a siege. Not anymore. Maybe in the old days when it first came out, but I think it needs I think Siege across the board needs a heavy rework. But I would really like to see something cool in Serendia happen that was just like fun, or a stepping stone for like 2 gate, sieges or something. I don't know.
Have you ever played the map in Overwatch called Eichenwald? It's the German map. And
actually, I have. You're talking about the one map in Overwatch I actually know.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about.
So there is this mechanic where you had to escort this battering ram to knock the doors down at the castle, and maybe they could do something with that. Where
that would be
that
sick.
way you have to keep the gate down. So, and then the other players who are sieging, they would have to bring a battering ram or escort one to knock it down.
I think another good game that does sieging well is Mordhau, which has a very similar situation. Think like medieval Battlefront 2, like where it's conquesty, so you got to kind of like walk forward and capture points as you go. But they have a very similar system where it's like certain maps will have a castle gate, and so you have to group on to the battering ram and wheel it up to the gate and knock the gate open. There's a lot of things they could do. I think our siege is super outdated. I think our siege is
outdated, man. Like,
I think it is a product of the time of when BDO was created and when BDO was in development, when these other games didn't exist with way better siege mechanics.
Correct.
So it would be really nice to see them take this system, because I've said this before, and I'm leaning into it. I'm leaning into it a little bit. PvE's got their big update. The new player experiences got their big updates. They're updating all these other systems. Life skills still needs some love, but PvPers next. Like, we got to be on the clipboard somewhere, right?
But Tiltis, PvPers are getting their due. The new region is going to be a red zone. You're done. That's it.
God.
For the next 2 years, you're done. You're saying that. I'm telling you right now, that is exactly what's happening. Prepare your anus.
Not.
Yeah, like that's 100% it.
I'll be mad. But we do. I mean, I think. I don't know. I have a lot of strong opinions on PvP because it is the reason that I play the game.
I'm
if
curious,
anything,
what
I think that making a good like theory or like beta test for War of the Roses could potentially be a good idea, where they kind of like they implement new weird ideas into the Heidel siege to kind of test it out to see what about War of the Roses could be. I could see them doing that. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Kind of having a testing ground of what mechanics work.
They're not. I'm sorry. One more time. Playtest?
I didn't say playtest.
Those words never left my mouth. You said testing ground. You lost me.
Yeah, but they can throw in. I mean, they've done that before. I mean, we've seen them iterate on ideas that already exist in BDO. Normally, they don't happen quickly, but I mean, like, we've seen them iterate on. I mean, how do you think we got boss blitz?
Well, I'm actually.
It was an iterative process that eventually led to boss blitz. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. Which was a good system.
How do you think they could implement Serendia Siege so that it's like an intro to Castle? Okay, let's just assume for a second that it's the dream. We're gonna get Serendia Siege and everyone's gonna be super heavy, and they're gonna give it a Heidel Castle to make it like an intro to Castle Siege situation. How do they make that intro beginner friendly? You know what I mean? Because it can't just be like Medaya, where just from gate one you're getting Baja blasted and not in a super fun role playing way.
Yeah. I'm not a game dev, so there's a lot of limitations and things that they're going to have to work through. But I think the easiest thing to do would be to set up at least at bare minimum, if it's going to be an intro, it should be a 1 gate siege where you, instead of going through 2, you go through 1 gate. And this is the introduction for players to learn. This is the gate. This is the mechanic. You can now spawn at the gate, you know. And if they wanted to drag it out a little bit, you could move the throne room, where you build the base, a little further away from the gate than it is in some of the other sieges, so that there's more open field room in between where they spawn and where you spawn. Because the way Heidel Castle is set up right now, assuming where the gate is, if you knocked that gate down, it's like a 2-second walk to the throne room. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
like that would be okay. I actually really like that idea.
Yeah, and I think there should be less. I got one more thing. I think there should be less high ground in the castle to use, and it should be more focused on ground level fighting for this one. So like in Medaya, you know, you've got a lot of ramparts, you've got a lot of bridges and like things where you can rain down on people that makes that siege more complicated than something for a beginner should be. So in Serendia, it should be like the front gate has got the ramparts that you rain down on, and then as you move to the throne room, it's more open field-esque where you're just fighting a ball versus a ball type scenario, so that players can experience siege without having to experience 30 casters standing on the rampart raining down on you.
I like that. No, I agree. I think it's good. Jay, is there any iteration of any siege that would actually get you to play PvP?
If there was mobs involved and there was a boss, that
what if you could?
Maybe Elezra would be there. I'm there.
What if you? Okay. Oh, I just had a thought. Okay, so you know how in the dungeon, because I have to capture Jay's attention. If you guys remember in the dungeon, like the new dungeon, you get into like these big like monolithic creatures.
Oh yeah.
And you run around. What if you could?
Yeah.
What if you could like, I don't know, get into a construct and start just beating down like one of the walls or something? You know what I mean? Instead of catapults or your traditional trebuchets and stuff, they could like have it be like the ancient weapons, and it spawned on like an event. Like if you got, I don't know, if you X amount of deaths or whatever, like, hey, the ancient weapon is spawned to help you. You know what I mean? And somebody can climb into the ancient weapon and just start blasting down the walls of the castle would be pretty sweet. So an ogre, but good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, but like actually fun. My thought. You know what I mean? With the mechanics and stuff.
The iteration for the next step, right?
Yeah. Right.
I think a PvPVE situation could also be fun, like where an evil something takes over the castle and the goal is to be the guild that wipes out.
That would be
the monster inside it, which would lead
like a
to
reverse tower defense kind of situation.
Right, exactly.
A bunch of rangers take over and you just spend the whole time just destroying rangers, because that's my fantasy. I would hate rangers.
But then you also have to watch out for the other guilds that are trying to take the NPC kill from you. You know, they're trying to win the siege by killing, the high priority target. So now so now you're being third partied while also trying to, siege the castle. So it's this interesting dynamic. I could see them doing something like that, and that would be fun. And then you don't have to move Heidel Castle. You can leave Heidel Castle where it's at, make it PvE monsters inside of it. You're sieging it with other guilds, and you have to also watch out for said other guilds that are trying to, take the kill from you.
It's actually a really good idea. I like that very much. If it meant like PvP, PvE content. I know it didn't work out in Destiny 2 because Gambit in Gambit in Destiny 2 failed miserably, and they immediately canceled production on Thornwood Forest. Because it was literally just going to be Gambit. But Gambit failed, so they just said, okay, we're stopping this. But I actually think that BDO's player base would really like some PvP, PvE content, where we could play cooperatively as a guild or as multiple guilds against PvE mobs. Would be sick. That's what MMO players want, right? Like, we don't want to like fight each other. Is that like, okay, there are a select few members of like the giant, I'm talking about the greater MMO community. Okay. Most of them really like just cooperative PvE experiences, right? Where you're working together to fight mobs, because that's a lot less intimidating than having to fight another player. right? There's a much smaller version of the player base that likes that PvP aspect. I think that BDO would, I don't know, profit tremendously with its combat system and all the different things you can do with it off of some sort of PvP, PvE content just like that. Like they could just replace Castle Siege altogether with stuff like that. Maybe leave one or two of them, one capped, one uncapped, and then just give us stuff like that. And I think it would be wildly popular.
I think so, because it would help players plug in that don't do PvP. There's a huge player base in BDO that has never done a Castle Siege. They have no idea what goes into doing a Castle Siege. I would probably say I'd say 90% of players in BDO have probably never done a Castle Siege, to be honest.
And that is a good thing.
It is, but also, like, that is a huge, that is, for the longest time, that was the end game of BDO. It's not anymore, but that was. And there's a huge player base that's never done it. I didn't do it until I'd been playing the game for like 3 years, and then I finally did a Siege for the first time.
Well, in fairness, you have to get into a guild that does Siege, and then, like, I would say that like 80% of those guilds, you're probably just not going to have a good experience the first time you do Siege. Even if it is a super organized guild and like they're actually gaming, you're probably going to suck and it's going to feel like crap. You're probably not going to have a good time.
It's rare that I think you have a good first time PvP experience, but I think if they introduced a PvE Siege like we were talking about, then now you are allowing all these players that have never done a Siege before, 90% of the probably BDO's population, to take part and do some kind of Siege thing. It would be fun. It would be a ton of fun, I think.
It would be a blast. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you like really wanted to do something crazy, because we talked about this at the beginning where not everybody can commit to certain time blocks, right? If you want to make a guild boss spawn, or let me take that back. If you want to make an alliance boss spawn where you and your alliance can summon a boss inside of a castle and then it's 150 versus the castle and you do that, that'd be so much fun, because then you have have a reason to play with your alliance outside of Node War. You have a reason to get together and do stuff. Like, it would be a ton of fun. Now the rewards have to be good, because we are MMO players and we do want min-max. You know, I'd say a good portion of the BDO community. I mean, look at Jay, the PvE lord, and he just grinds PvE all day. There's so many players that do that.
Well, I will say that, like, I think that if they introduce some sort of like large scale PvE content where like we could fight as guilds, I would probably transition almost all of my content towards that focus. Yeah. I don't even know if I would even bother with PvP anymore. Like, because it would be that good. I like playing cooperative. I think that playing cooperatively with other guilds and with your teammates builds stronger relationships than playing against other players. Most of the time that ends up in toxicity in the PvP scene, and most people say that toxicity drives the PvP scene. But like, what if, and hear me out, we all just liked working with each other?
No.
I just think it would be way, like, the relationships with other players. I probably would build relationships with players that, like, I never thought I would. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would be really cool, and I think that the community would come together a little bit more over it. But okay, all right. Enough about Siege. Anyway, anything else to add?
No, I think I legitimately think that there's about a 50% chance that it's some kind of testing ground for not Thornwood. I don't know why I keep saying that.
War of the Roses, yeah.
And the other 50% is that it's what Jay talked about, and it's like a staging area for like events.
It's gonna be the quest, dude. It's gonna be the quest thing. We've reworked the main storyline to include Heidel. Like, oh god. Jay, if they do that, it's 100% your fault. Do you understand? It's all your fault. I'm coming for your ass if they do that.
Ready for Jay.
Yeah, sharpen your pitchforks. I have the Nimbus 2000 pitchfork ready for Jay here. All right, so I do want to transition over to end game life skilling. Now, I know a decent bit about this, but I'm talking about these players that they're 2K mastery. Right? They've invested a tremendous amount of money into their life skilling set, and they are Guru 50. Okay? Do you think there's really anything to do once you've hit Guru 50 in 2K? Because, like, or do you just get bored? Because I feel like I just get kind of bored. Once the life skill's done, I feel like I'm just wasting my time. I don't know how to say it, but like when you're no longer like, I hate saying this, makes me sound like a degenerate, but when the bar goes up and it like ticks to the next level, I don't know, there's like, you know, like you're getting this sort of progression, and I don't know what it is about it. They know how to get me. You know what I mean? I love that progression. But after Guru 50, you're kind of just sitting there staring at the utensil like, man, yeah, sure, I'm making some money and I finally hit my goal of 2K mastery and all this, but like, what's the point? So Jay, I'm curious, you haven't been able to speak in a while. What do you think about what they could do potentially about this?
I mean, I think a really low hanging fruit would be to just increase the brackets. I mean, they've increased the brackets before in combat gear before. Like I think before the last bracket for DP, wasn't it 341? Right? And then they moved it over to 401. And now players are reaching 430, 440 DP with no additional DP accessories like me. And so I don't think it would be strange to see them increase mastery brackets or combat brackets in the future.
Okay.
As for what else they could do, I was thinking maybe a sort of what's the word for it? Like have you ever played Diablo 3?
Yeah, sadly. Why would you bring that up? After you hit
the max level, you got Paragon levels. So maybe there could be some sort of extra levels beyond Guru, you know? Okay. And then they could give you some bonuses, maybe increased yield or something, like some sort of it doesn't have to be too much, like, because when you are at the final brackets of combat gear as well, the bonuses are kind of minimal. Right after 401 DP, you don't really get too much, and so I think in the same manner, to reflect that, you would also get a little bit of bonuses. Maybe you get like 5% more yield or something to whatever you were making, whatever you're producing, and stuff like that. So
okay, I'm gonna wait,
something to strive for.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait to drop my banger on you guys. I'm gonna let Tiltus go first. Tiltus, what do you think that they should do like about this? So that I know you're a life skiller. Right, you're closeted. No one really knows about it, but you've talked about it on this podcast pretty openly. What would you like? Do you feel like your motivation to play the game would just dissolve if you hit Guru 50 with 2K? Like, what do you think they should do for those players?
So I'm a weirdie because I'm a self-sufficient life skiller, meaning like I do everything from scratch when it comes to life skilling, and then I use that helps me play the game by being self-sufficient.
I do the same thing.
But I think the lowest hanging fruit, like Jay said, is to bump brackets again. It's time. It's 2K has been hit for what, 6 months, 7 months, a year, something silly. People are to the point now where they blue gear it, you know, with their 2K mastery. But
yeah, with the crystals, right? The mastery crystals. I think that was a big thing.
But the best thing that you could possibly do for life skillers that would keep them life skilling and probably make some more people life skill treasure items and a really awesome badass drops from life skilling at a very high level.
Okay.
There should be things that unlock at Guru 40 that is not obtainable until you hit that point. And you should be rewarded for going for that.
All right. I'm going to have, this is potentially the hottest take that we've had. I think that they should go in a different direction with endgame life skilling, and then I'm gonna hit you with it, and then I'm gonna extrapolate it to the rest of the game. What if you hit 2K mastery and Guru 50, and then we started into it didn't increase mastery system. It didn't necessarily even increase your drop rate or anything. It increased your prestige. You started to get like cool, really wickedly cool title, or maybe your character glowed a certain way while you equip the title. This way you have this sort of life skill leaderboard situation where it's like, oh my god, that guy's like that guy's really high level cooking. You know what I mean? Like when you walk around, you should see that guy's E-peen hanging out of his body. Like at the bottom line, yeah, okay, they're making a certain amount of money life skilling. That's super cool. But like, I think it would be really cool to add this sort of, it kind of feeds on this idea of like the ranked leaderboards for the bosses and stuff. But like, give us like in-game titles, maybe outfits, right? Or maybe if you're rank 1 on a server, like you give like actual rewards for being rank 1 on a server and stuff. Maybe you get gifted certain stuff. I think that would be really cool. But like any sort of like prestige level stuff that maybe increases the coolness that your character looks, or when people are walking around you, they know that you are like an end game life skilling Giga Chad unit.
That sounds like RuneScape's like cape. The cape for the.
I've seen it been mentioned in Blue's chat like 3 times now. Yes,
what?
110% yes.
What? Explain it to me.
Capes.
Okay, I don't know what the RuneScape capes are. Go ahead.
Jay, go for it. You're the one that brought it
No,
up.
I don't play RuneScape.
My
I don't play RuneScape.
Neither do I. And you have to like, what is it?
Bring it up.
I love how Jay's like, oh yeah.
I was doing a little research. That's
Blue,
it.
I have a quote for you, and I want to know if you recognize the quote. 92 is halfway.
No, I got nothing.
Okay.
Huh?
In RuneScape, you can level 1 to 99. The XP gets progressively more and more atrocious the higher level you get.
Okay.
Level 92 is half of the XP required to hit level 99.
Sounds like everything in BDO.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, at level 99, you can go to the master of whatever skill it is that you've done, and you can get a cape that you can wear that has the badge of the skill on the back of it.
Yes.
So when you walk by other players,
yes.
you know, hey, that guy has no life and has put countless hours into playing this one thing. And then there's I'll do you one better.
Yep.
When you get your first cape, it is called untrimmed, which means it does not have a gold border around it. When you get your second cape, all other capes that you get will be trimmed, which means they'll have a gold border on it.
Yes.
There are skills that people get untrimmed capes for because they are completely asinine to get by themselves. Like 99 rune crafting untrimmed capes is just, you're a sicko if you do that first. Like there are things, but it's like a bragging right. You're like, hey, I got 99 rune crafting before I did any other life skill. And it's like, okay, well that guy's a freak, but also that's really cool. So like that is like the ultimate low-hanging fruit. Is like literally just look at other MMOs and go, yep, that's ours now.
Yeah, I didn't even know they were doing that, but yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like stuff exactly like that, or even like a crown or whatever. Like it got more decorated as you went, so that you could show players how awesome your EP was. And again, now I'm going to extrapolate it to the rest of the game. Okay, number one, I don't know why we don't have a character inspect tool. But we we need a character inspect tool so bad it hurts a little bit. I want to be able to. Do you have any idea how much time I would just like walk around town and just like look at people's gear and stuff and like look what they're wearing? You know what I mean?
You know how many times players collect around a bank? There's a thing in RuneScape called bank standing, where you put on your flexiest outfit and you go stand at the bank. And people will walk up and inspect you and look at you because they're like, yo, what all does this guy have? It would be so cool to be able to walk up to a BDO player and be like, inspect, oh, this guy's full pin Black Star. Okay, that's pretty good. And then you click on the next guy and you're like, oh, this is J-Kun. Okay, well, I'll go fuck myself.
What a specimen, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think, like, about like doing this for like gear or whatever? Maybe they don't add the gear inspect feature. Maybe they just add this cool glowy thing. If your gear score adds to a certain number or whatever, like, yeah, okay, well, I have a bunch of accuracy, etc. Well, then suck it, loser. But like you could have
for like some ridiculous accuracy number.
As long as you're in like the top like 5 or 10% of what the high end gear score is, they allowed you to have this super cool title. Right.
Yep.
Or they again, they allowed your character to glow a little bit, or your skills looked to have like a purplish hue or something. You know what I mean? Or even just, okay, now you can do this quest to go unlock this very prestigious end game outfit that you can only get by hitting like a really high gear score. I think that kind of thing, players would strive for that stuff. It doesn't do power creep at all. Right. It's very low hanging fruit. We would all absolutely love that content. And it allows the lower end player base to catch up to those higher end gear players without constantly moving the gear cap forward for them. Like, Jay, would you grind for something like that?
Yeah, I mean, if there was like a cooking outfit that you can only get at Guru 50 100%, I would go for it. If it was like a super cool, Iron Chef outfit.
Well, I'm talking about like PvE now, but yeah, no, that
PvE,
too.
Yeah,
I'm talking about PvE. Like, could you? Yeah, would you wear something that was like, all right, you have to be 763 gear score to wear this outfit? Would you grind
Yeah, I mean,
harder for that
100%.
than you would for, say, a Tet Dead God belt? Or I mean, Tet Dead God.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
That's what I did for the Orzeka outfit. I think that's what a lot of people did for the Orzeka outfit. And now everybody and their mom has it. And so I don't wear it anymore because it doesn't make me feel special anymore. But before then, back in 2020, I felt super special wearing that outfit. I was flipping I remember I was flipping my farms one day, and this person comes up to me. He's like, "What outfit is that?" I said, "La Orzeka." And then he started speaking Spanish to me because he thought I was speaking Spanish to him. I remember that so clearly. And he said that was the La Orzeka outfit. And it's like, where do you get that?
Okay, that's pretty funny.
But yeah.
I think I've harped on this so much in our previous episodes. BDO needs flex, man. It does. I need a way to flex that just looks cool, man. I want to look cool. I don't want to spend money on looking cool. I want to do something in game that makes me look cool. That doesn't require me to kill, Nuver a bazillion times or something, like those ideas are cool.
If they added sprays, emotes, and like different dancing, like interactable, like social actions, which I already know are in the game, but gate them behind like super end game content.
Yep.
Just basic social actions.
We need the dancing life skill.
You can get like the dab emote if you hit level 64. Like, okay, well now we're gonna grind. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I gotta get to level 64. Or you can squat and then stand up repeatedly. I don't know. We could call the emote the teabag. I don't know.
God.
You could literally
they introduce a teabag emote.
Oh my god, it would be so juicy. Yeah, but you can only get it if you're like 765 gear score. We're all balls in.
Okay, relax.
Yeah.
But I forgot something important about the skill capes. It just clicked. When you unlock a skill cape, you get a unique emote that you can only use while wearing that skill cape in RuneScape that has something to do with the skill. So like if you hit 99 strength, you lift, 100-ton, dumbbell or not dumbbell, barbell over your head because you're the strongest, character in the game or whatever. So like RuneScape does flexing right. There are like rites of passages that you must take. And if somebody doesn't have a certain item on their account, you're either brand new or you are a life skiller. And vice versa, so BDO lacks flex. I want to be able to flex on people. I want to be able to grind for something and show off just by standing at my bank and have people walk up and be like, how'd you get this? Same with mounts. I mean, there's a reason that Asmongold does like the mount off, right? You get to flex the coolest mounts of the most weird stuff that you've ever grinded for in your entire life just to get it so that you can show it off. BDO doesn't really have that. I mean, especially now with the T9s. The free T9s was so needed for the quality of the game for new players and just in general. But like a T9's not a flex anymore. A T10 is a huge flex,
I was about to say Jay and I are up tremendous, and by up I mean of course we're riding our Pegasus around.
Yeah,
that's super good for the game because every time I see a T10, I have that immediate moment where I stop what I'm doing.
And you're
I
like,
look at whoever's
so
got
cool.
the T10,
yes.
and I'm like, that is sick.
Yeah.
Why is it only one thing in the entirety of BDO that gives me that feeling?
Dude, that is the feeling that MMO players crave more than almost anything. I have played this game longer than you. I have had less sex than you in the last. Yeah, exactly, and better than you. You know what I mean? That's what we want to feel. And it doesn't have to be a constant gear push a little bit. We really just want to look badass. And not necessarily because the Pearl Shop is making us look badass. If I want to look lewd, I hit F3. Okay? If I want to look badass, I want to grind key? And like, yeah.
Is that the key for the underwear key?
Oh, that's F4. Yeah, no, F3 is the Pearl Shop. Shut up. F3 is the Pearl Shop. F4 is the character design. Yeah. Yeah. Shut your mouth. Okay, look. I enjoy being a little cultured. Okay, I should not be shamed for this.
Key.
This is bullshit. Jay knew too. Jay can't tell me he didn't know. I saw him looking at his Striker's underwear the other day.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, I even if it was something small, they really like the biggest thing I think they need to add to the game is just like the ability to flex. That you have grinded this amount of time or that you have killed this amount of mobs, right? Like, wouldn't that be cool? We have a mob counter. It's in the game.
Yeah.
Award us a cool outfit. It doesn't even have to be a cool outfit. Give us like a wearable dim tree outfit. For hitting like 3 million or 10 million mobs killed or something. You know what I mean? And you just see this Giga Chad walking around like a Wookiee. Like, you'd be like, oh my god, that guy's a specimen.
The Bigfoot. He becomes Bigfoot. He gets the Bigfoot emote where he does the iconic shot of Bigfoot looking back at the camera.
Right, but my point is
his emote for it.
It doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be like good looking. You could design it like garbage, and I'm not saying that they will. But like, you could design it like garbage, and we would still go get it because like no one else has it, and I do. Right? Like, everyone's always got that thing that they ping. I actually, you know what? Okay, here's what we're gonna close off with. What's that thing that you ping when you're all pinging the rarest item on your account? What's that thing that you ping so that you can flex your e-bean? We'll do Tiltus, you go first.
I have so on my DK, I just have a bunch of meme items in my inventory at all times.
Oh my god! Do you have the cute raccoon? People keep linking me that. People keep they just whisper me and they link the cute raccoon to me. I'm like,
I have one better. So I like to carry around the plump fish from the quest line in Land of the Morning Light. And whenever somebody starts talking smack in guild, I just link the plump fish.
You're so stupid. That's your flex? Like, it's little, like you're just throwing a fish at him?
And then we have whenever our GM of Epidemic, his name is Llama Speed, and so I have a stuffed llama that I carry in my inventory at all times so that I can link whenever llama starts being atrocious. I just link him the stuffed llama.
Oh my gosh!
When I was in Corrupt, it was obligated that we all bring bananas because Corrupt was the Ook guild for the longest time. So whenever we fought, whenever we killed people, we would just link the banana in chat.
That's crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a bunch of memes in my inventory at all times.
Jay, what are like the big boy stuff that you like when we're flexing how long we've been playing the game? What's like your items?
I mean, I don't really link too much to people, but if I were to link the rarest thing, it's either my really oldest items that I have like souvenir, or it's the merchant ring is what I usually link.
Yeah,
but
so there's like two different ways to go. It's like, oh my god, that was such an old event. Like, look at how Giga Chad that guy is. Like, I have striker coins. From like
my
the striker release.
Is Archer coins.
I have some old stuff, but like I have like an escalating system because I like to ease them into it and then Baja blast them with the last item because like they can't win. You know what I mean? I want them to keep trying to one up me. So like first you ping like a potion or something everybody's got, and then they're gonna ping like a map, and then you ping the compass, and then they ping the merchant ring, and then or they can start pinging pure blackstones is a common one that people can ping all the time. And again, I have one of each of those that I've saved and let expire and locked in my inventory. Most of these super cool things you lock them in the inventory, right? They ping a merchant ring, no problem. That's what I have my Medea crown for. For being the GM of a guild that has owned a castle. Like, sit down, child. And then if they somehow link like a different crown, I'm like, oh man, this guy's playing for keeps. Then I link the big boy. I link the Seeker's Hawk. And you guys, do you guys even know what Seeker's Hawk is? I doubt it. I doubt it.
What is that?
It's very, so I'm pretty sure I might be the only person that actually has a Seeker's Hawk. There was an event for Node Wars, where like the Node War system got changed and they wanted their content creators to like broadcast it and like shoutcast like what's going on in a Node War so you could explain it to new players that were joining. And like a bunch of content creators applied. I'm one of the ones that got one for NA. And I think there was one champion Jason got one for EU. I think we may have been the only two. But like Delphi warned me when he gave me this item. He goes, if we are watching your use on this item, you are the only one that has this. If you use this accidentally outside of your stream hours, when you're actually setting it, we're gonna ban you. If you inappropriately use this at all, we're gonna ban you. I'm like, just monk a W. I was like, what if I lock it? He's like, it still can be used as if it's locked. I'm like, what the hell, Delphi? You gave me a nuclear bomb. So anyway, It's this item that allows you to crouch anywhere in the world and go into observe mode in iframe. Yeah, and it expired, and so now the nuclear bomb has been diffused. No big deal, but I have it locked in my inventory, and nobody ever knows what it is.
That's cool.
Yeah, but like
cool.
it's like wickedly cool because Delphi didn't take it away from me, so now I get to flex it on everyone.
And then they take it away
That's
after you
expired. Yeah, I know.
That's
Corruption's,
right. Yeah,
corruption's gonna be like, and pluck.
to the
You know,
to the GMs in chat. let them keep it. It's expired.
Right, it's expired. It can't be used. You know, like it's just sitting in there. But most of those items are all expired, and you just flex them on people, right? Yeah. And those are just super cool. Anyway, okay, so that's gonna be have to be a wrap for us this week. Let's go ahead and go with outros. We'll go with Jay first since we introed Tiltus first last time.
Hi, I'm Jaycoon. I do a lot of PvE content such as Olin's Dungeons and now Ulukita, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the game. You can find me over at twitch.tv/JaycoonVTV before the T.
All right on, man. You're kind of nailing that after the initial like stumble at the start there at Tiltus.
So, I think we're just gonna have to like create a system where it's like Blue does introductions or the outro, then we move to Tiltus, then we move to Jay so that he gets the warm up, and then we move back to Blue for like the final big one. Like we're just gonna have to like make it a system because every time you're like, "Hey Jay, well it's time for outros," and Jay's like, "Oh." Like literally he becomes the Bigfoot. Like that still shot of Bigfoot. Oh. Like
yeah,
but yeah, my outro, I'm Tiltus TV. I am the flex lead for the Alliance Solace. I play Dark Knight. I have played Dark Knight for years, and if you ever want to talk about Dark Souls or now Baldur's Gate and D&D, I do that all the time. And then if you want to pick my brain about Dark Knight, I have played it through every iteration of Dark Knight that has ever existed, so I have a pretty good thumb on where it is. But yeah, it's a ton of fun. So I will be back streaming hopefully a lot once work has relaxed a little bit. Right now I'm getting destroyed by work, so I haven't been as active lately.
I respect it. And I am Blue Squadron. There's always something going on this channel, whether you're checking out my Twitch or my YouTube. The YouTube channel has new videos every single day, sometimes 2 a day. Kind of depends on the day. And we're kind of popping off on that because they're always super entertaining. I don't know how I do it, but it makes it work. Also, so we Shot Call Siege on Saturday. On Sunday, we do a reaction stream, which I promise you is a banger. Monday is always Fun Day Monday, PvP for Dummies. We teach people how to do large-scale PvP, and we all laugh and have fun. And then Tuesday is the Old Moon Podcast and the Patch Notes Rundown. It's basically an event stream like every single time. But from all of us here, oh, guys, don't forget we're on Spotify. We're on Spotify, and we're on Apple Podcasts. So make sure you guys check us out there. You can listen to us on the way to work and back. I understand that sometimes you're at work or you're driving and you do want to... You're thinking about BDO. You're thinking about it, and you want that BDO content. Just turn on the Old Moon Podcast. We've got you. We're on like every platform: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. So from all of us here at the Old Moon Podcast, everybody have a great rest of your week.